Let's talk a little bit about the ROG Ally. In a previous video, I talked about the Steam Deck, and although it's an excellent device, the software is great and it's a great invention altogether, I couldn't personally find a situation where I would use it a lot. So for me personally, it wasn't a device that really fit my use case and my interest. And so I sold my Steam Deck, and instead I bought this ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM, gigabytes I think is the correct pronunciation. And I am really pleasantly surprised. And there are several reasons why I like this thing. So the first thing that really impressed me is when I started up and I installed Steam, and it was actually surround sound that was coming out of these boxes was really impressive, and it was like I was watching a big television screen, and the sound was really, it seemed like it was everywhere, even though it's just a handheld. So the sound quality is really excellent on this device, in my personal opinion. Also, another point I would like to make is that when you look online and you compare the Steam Deck with the ROG Ally, most people, like 9 people out of 10, say that the Steam Deck is far more ergonomic than the ROG Ally. But in my personal experience, it's actually the other way around. So the Steam Deck, like I said, it's a fantastic device. But when I hold it in my hands, I always have to hold it with 2 hands because it's a very wide device. And if you hold it with only 1 hand, it seems to balance off to the other side and tends to want to drop off. Or I accidentally press the back buttons, and it's just a feeling that I'm not really fond of. While with the ROG Ally, I don't seem to have that problem. So I can easily hold it with 1 hand. So it's almost the same size as a Steam Deck, but still it feels for me easier to carry. So that's quite impressive. Also, okay, it only has 1 back button on each side, but I don't tend to press it accidentally. So you can also press it in each direction. So you can actually press it, you can pull it, you can push it. And that's really impressive. Okay, so I have to still admit that it's a big device. So it's almost as big as a Steam Deck. But then again, if you look at the software that you can install, so I can install Gamepass games on this. So that's definitely a benefit for this device without actually doing a lot around the controls that are built into this device. So that's really nice. Of course, it's a Windows environment, and contrary to the Steam Deck where you have Steam OS. Steam OS is very user-friendly. It's specifically directed towards the Steam Deck. So it's very well integrated. So the software experience on the Steam Deck is almost perfect. The only problem with that software experience is if you go sideways towards perhaps emulation or installing software that's outside of the Steam ecosystem, then things get a little bit more difficult. And that's one big benefit of Windows. I personally have a very large Windows background. I am in my daily profession, I'm a .NET developer, so I'm a software developer, and I know Windows pretty well. So that's for me, that's a benefit. Of course, there are also downsides. So when you start this thing up, you get a Windows screen, you have to log in with the touch screen. So that's a little bit strange. You notice that the operating system isn't really directed towards a gaming handheld, and that's a little bit of a downside. So you get the feeling that you have a computer, so a Windows computer with controls attached to them. So that's pretty much the only downside. But I can say that ROG, they actually, the Asus, they actually tried to make the software user-friendly, and definitely to a certain degree, it is user-friendly. So it does start up in this menu section, and you can install whatever you want, and it will appear here, and you can just play your games and your software that you have. So you can also just simply install, for example, I have Cyberpunk on GOG, GOG or GOG, I don't know the pronunciation. I bought it there, and it's already pre-installed on this device. If you want to play it on the Steam Deck and you want to play it via GOG, you have to do some workarounds to install it, and that's it's not always that easy. So in that manner, I'm really happy with this device. I think it really is a great device, and the ergonomics are surprisingly well. I thought it would be a lot worse. I bought this thing because I just want to try it out. So I sold my Steam Deck. I want to try this device out, and wow, I'm actually real surprised. I do have to mention another downside of this device, and that's actually the battery life. So the battery life is not great. So you can play on it for a little while, but the battery drains relatively fast, and yeah, that's a bit of a downside on this device. But what can I say? You know, it's a very powerful device, and I've heard that with the ROG Ally X version, that problem is somewhat solved. But again, that's probably the biggest downside, the battery, and that's also the only thing that makes me actually wonder if I should switch back to an Android device. Also, one thing I'd like to mention is that PS5 Remote Play is of course installable on this device, but it doesn't automatically recognize your controllers. So if you want to attach your controllers to play with your PlayStation, you have to do some workarounds for that. So that's also not that straightforward. But next to that, I think it's an excellent device. It lies surprisingly well in my hands. So maybe that may also be the case for you. So I'm actually really happy with this, and if you can find it in a discount, I would definitely recommend it. That's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to say about this device. If you like this video, please give a like, subscribe, and please also leave a comment. If you have any questions, then I can respond to them and we can have a little chat. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.
Close. Maybe if I built something, I could reach it.